Aloha and shalom. We are about to begin the first quarter activation. For those of you who are new to these videos, we've been doing them for, I don't know, maybe around 4.5 years now, and we do them every single week. And I don't believe I've ever missed a week in all these years. And the videos don't actually have to do with the moon, other than the fact that we use the moon as a measurement of time. Whatever shape the moon is reflecting is telling us about something that's going on inside of ourselves and back of all things in creation. So the first quarter is 1 week after the new moon. So last week we had the new moon activation, and that was really all about a new beginning we were stepping into. And just to kind of summarize what the message was last week, it was all about understanding that we have to come to a balance within ourselves before our relationships and our reality can reflect that balance. It was about using less of our energy to focus on any one relationship or situation outside of ourselves, and instead bring that energy back into center and finding that balance within so that everything else reflects that inner balance as a byproduct. So now we're 1 week into this month's cycle, and it's so good to see you guys tuning in. Yeah! We're 1 week into this month's cycle, and we're ready to find out what's going on. Let's see the map that is going to reveal to us the energetic operations behind the scenes. So as usual, I'm tuning in from the lovely Sedona, Arizona. I haven't tuned in from anywhere else in a while, I haven't been traveling, so it's a blessing that I live in such a special place. So let me know in the comments where in the world you're tuning in from. Awesome. Lithuania. Sweet. I'm just shuffling the cards as y'all tune in. Ireland. Lithuania, Ireland. Where are you in the world? And before we begin the reading, Bend, Oregon. Before we begin the reading, go ahead and share this with your favorite groups, your friends, your family, so that they can get in the portal live. We have Florida in the house, Maryland in the house, Scotland, UK. Yeah, go ahead and share this while we're live so that we can get our friends and family in the portal to help us activate this message further. England is in the house. Or if you prefer, you can wait until the end and you can share the recording with someone who may need the message or someone who could help activate it further. Texas is in the house. In the house. So excited. For those of you who are new to these activations, we also use this Hebrew deck made by me. It looks like this. We use them together with the tarot. And the Hebrew letters represent the same pieces of wisdom that each of the tarot cards represent. So thank you in advance, archetypes, faces of the one of which we're all a part, for bringing us this specific message this week. So what's our current challenge? Straight up, what is it? And what's something that we've been focused on that we're now ready to let go of to free up our energy to move through this challenge with more presence? That's it for these. Let's go to the Hebrew. And let's pull an ally, shall we? All right. Let us begin. The challenge of the week is, we begin with the Major Arcanum card. Fun fact, some readers only use Major Arcanum cards. Do I believe there's a better way? No, I believe there's no one right way in life. And I love that there are 15 watchers right now, and this is card number 15. So this is the devil, also known in ancient Egypt as the Black Magician. And this sometimes scares people when they see the devil, like, oh my God, this is the scariest card of the deck. But remember that it's just an archetypal representation of a force that's always in operation. And so it's nothing to be afraid of. Each of the cards represent a different part of the alchemical process. They're all inevitable. They're all experiences that we have to have. In fact, not just once, but again and again. And so the devil is all about being deeply embedded into the hardest part of the lessons that we're going through. So really being in the thick of it. Being in the addiction, being in the unhealthy desire, being in the pain, being in the suffering, not quite ready to come out of it, but just being fully immersed in that experience of pain, suffering, or materialism, which eventually leads to suffering when we're only living from a place of materialism and not, spirituality, not connecting to that aspect of our lives. It creates inevitable suffering. So that's really what the devil is. You always want to look to the cards before and after to better understand the card that we're at. And the card right before the devil is 14. It's Temperance, aka the Alchemist. And that's the part of us that writes the script for the next part of our lives. Then we have the devil, and then we have the Tower. So we write the script, which inevitably is going to come with mistakes or lessons that we have to learn. And that's where the devil comes in. Then comes the Tower. Eventually, that tower falls. Eventually, what is not real falls, fades away. And then comes the star, right? Where we return to ourself. The only thing that's real, the light within. So that's just a little bit of the sequence so that you can understand. So if you look closely here, you can see that the devil is lighting his tail on fire. He's putting a fire under his ass. He is the one within us that creates the situation necessary for us to speed the process up. Learn the lessons we have to learn. Just do it. Get it over with. Don't be afraid to fall. You'll rise again. And so if this is the challenge this week, what does it look like? It looks like it's time to wake up to this process that's going on in our lives. To look at where are we keeping ourselves imprisoned, and how can we look at those areas of our lives, see what it's trying to teach us, and move on to the Tower so that we can no longer be giving our energy to those unworthy sources, so that we can learn the lesson and move on, so that we don't become masochistic and linger there in those spaces that were only meant to be visited to teach us something. So if the devil is the challenge this week, it's a lot like this. It's looking at what are my habits, and which ones have I judged as good, and which ones have I judged as bad, and how can I refresh my perspective and not just keep telling the same stories I've been telling, but show up to this moment present and aware and willing to see things more clearly, and to say, okay, I'm recognizing these are my habits. I might have judged this habit as good, this habit as bad in the past, but now I'm going to look at all of my habits, all of my choices in thought, in emotion, and in physicality. I'm going to look at all my choices in all of those dimensions, and I'm going to ask myself, Which choices am I making that are going to contribute to a positive future? Which choices am I making that are contributing to the manifestation of positive results for not just me, but those around me and for the world? Which habits are going to lead to manifestations on this material plane that are going to be sustainable? What sources am I giving my energy to? Again, mentally, emotionally, and physically. What sources am I giving my energy to? And what's going to come of that? And is it something that's really worth continuing to feed? Mentally, emotionally, physically? Or is it time to see that certain sources I've been giving my energy to, not that it's bad that I've been doing that, but that it's time to see the lesson in it and make a change. Move on. So for example, just to create a very easy example, something obvious. Let's say you have a relationship in your life and you're like, ugh, I've been giving all three of those things, my mental, emotional, and physical energy to that person, to that relationship. And that person is incredibly abusive and they're not doing anything positive with my energy. How would you respond if you were to become aware of that situation that you've been giving your energy to? Well, you certainly don't want to say, oh, God, what a fool I am, how stupid I am, because those thoughts aren't going to help you get out of it. They're not going to help you come to a higher frequency. They're not going to help you rise above the situation. So self-deprecation or self-victimization is not going to get you out of there. Self-judgment to the point of getting stuck in a thought loop of self-punishment is not going to work. So it's about looking at the situation and go, oh, okay, I've been giving my energy to this source, and what it's showing me now as I reflect on the situation is that I want to redirect my energy now. And I've learned a lot about what it feels like to be manipulated or to be used or to be abused. And that knowledge is power, and I'm not going to let that happen again. And I'm grateful this experience has taught me that about myself, and I'm ready to make a change. I'm ready for that tower. I'm ready to move from the 15 to the 16. I'm ready to progress. I'm going to knock this tower down before the universe does it to me. The universe is me anyway, so I might as well just get with it now, pick up my big girl pants, and take action. Okay, so it's about going through this process, seeing where have I been giving my energy, my thoughts, my feelings, my physical presence, and what have those situations showed me, and should I still give my energy there, or should I pull back and redirect? That's what the tower is. It's a redirection, a reset. It's not just a crashing down. If we only focus on the destruction of the tower, we're not able to see the future rising of a new one. If we think that the tower is just about, everything coming crashing down, all of our efforts being for nothing, then we're not going to reach the deepest initiation of that part of the story, of the tower card or the tower archetype within us. The tower isn't just, all that effort lost, it was for nothing. Oh man, I was in that abusive relationship and now it's over. It's also, wow, thank goodness it's over and I'm free now and I learned a lot from that relationship. And I'm so glad that my life is being redirected now and for the best. So I'm going to maintain that trust and that faith. And I'm going to see that, yes, my life is being directed, but that I have the wheel in my hands. And I can either continue to steer my life in a positive direction, or I can pretend like I have no control and just allow the forces to move me this way or that. You are one with all the forces of nature and creation. So there's none of this giving up our power and saying, I don't have the wheel, I have no role in this, I have no part in this. Of course you do. But it starts with your mind. And that's where all things begin. So again, if this is the challenge this week, it's asking, how can I get to that point of the tower? How can I wake up to those habits that were meant only to teach me a lesson so that I can redirect my course? How can I make peace with those parts of myself that have been an expression of the devil? How can I see where I've been giving my energy to people or situations that are working against my own self? How can I be honest about those situations and those relationships and take my power back and make a change? And how can I make that process the most graceful it could possibly be with the least amount of crisis? It takes humility, first of all. It takes acceptance. It takes self-forgiveness. And these are things you want to prepare yourself with, because if this is the challenge for the week, what do you think is going to happen when you become aware of your negative habits? You want to see that already happening, pretend it's already happening, and create a strategy so that when you come to those points on your path this week of having to face your own demons or your own darkness, your own negative habits, you will have those tools to invoke from within yourself. You will invoke those tools to be able to move through it with grace and with the least amount of crisis. For example, I'm going to say to myself, okay, what happens when I uncover a negative thought pattern or negative belief program? Or what happens when I come face to face with something that I know is a negative habit? Right? And for a lot of people, this is drugs, this is alcohol, this is unhealthy relationships. What am I going to do when I face that truth that really I knew all along? This relationship is no good, this drug is no good. Okay, so what am I going to do about it? Now I'm facing it once and for all, and I'm ready to make a change. So I'm going to, first of all, accept that, yeah, I've been doing this thing. I've been giving my energy to this, and it's okay. And I forgive myself, because without that forgiveness, I can't move forward. Okay, so you want to be prepared with how you're going to talk yourself through it. Otherwise, you're just going to give up, and you're going to give in, and you're going to stay stuck at this part of the story, and you're not going to be able to move to the tower. Or you will only move to the tower when the universe pulls the rug out from under you. Why wait? Do it yourself, because that creates a deeper and more profound level of empowerment when you take that responsibility and don't wait around for it to happen to you. So be prepared to look more closely at your life's experience, and ask, where have I been giving energy to people or situations that are working against me? How can I take self-responsibility and go, well, the reason I'm not manifesting prosperity or health or joy or positive relationships in my life is because I'm feeding this source that is not in resonance with those goals. And so it's up to me to take my power back and make a change. Otherwise, I have no excuse. So where are you working against yourself in your life experience? In the ways that you think, in the ways that you speak, in the ways that you act? What are your mental, emotional, and physical behaviors that are contradicting your inner belief programs, or that are contradicting your goals, that are not in resonance with the outcome you wish to manifest? That's all. That's what the devil is. Are you working for the devil? That just means working for a force or giving your energy to a source that is not in alignment with your inner beliefs or your desires. So that's the challenge this week, the devil. Where are we denying the truth in our lives? Where are we denying our own truth? Where are we? What processes, relationship situations are we giving ourselves to that are not only not an expression of our truth, but are in denial of our truth, that are an expression of denial of who we truly, authentically are? What are we thinking, saying, and doing that is an expression revealing we are not honoring who we truly are or who we truly want to be? And in order to free up the energy to move through this challenge best, here comes that Two of Cups again! The Two of Cups was in the new moon reading, as many of you probably remember, because a lot of you messaged me about this card in particular. And I just want to show you, look at them side by side. You see any similarities? You've got the lion with the wings, you have the devil with the bat wings here. You have the couple here, you have the couple here. They're chained here, but they're cheersing their cups here, which the cups are, the grail of the heart. Okay, so just look at the similarities here. So if we want to do the work this week to break through this challenge, we have to stop looking outside of ourselves. We have to stop looking at, and I'm seeing some very specific information, so I'm just going to go with it, okay? We become so consumed by our relationships, romantic relationships, our children, parents, whatever. We start to look outside of ourselves. We start to blame. We start to blame others. We start to blame ourselves. We start to fall into this downward spiral of blame, judgment, shame, guilt, all of these negative emotions. The thing is, we'll never be able to heal the relationship we have with ourselves or the relationships we have with one another until we're honest with ourselves. There's no healing to be had unless we're honest. If we're giving all of our energy to the wrong sources, if we are working against ourselves in life, if we are choosing to think certain thoughts or say certain things or do certain things that are a direct denial of our truth, or that are disrespectful toward who we are, or toward the forces of creation, or the forces of nature, when we dishonor the truth within ourselves or the truth within the world, then we don't even have the foundation that we need to be able to build a healthy relationship with ourselves and with one another. So for example, it could look like this, right? Like, let's create a situation. Let's say my name is Tom and I'm addicted to crack and I live in LA and I'm obsessed with trying to heal my relationship with this girl, Linda, that I've been with for 15 years. And it's just not working out, and we're both hating ourselves and hating each other, and we're creating this whole situation of material entanglement and just terrible low vibrational relationship, right? Well, what did I say my name was? Tom? in this imaginary situation. So me as Tom, first of all, I would have to look at my habits. Look at where I'm giving my energy to these sources that are not only not serving myself, but not serving the relationship and not serving anyone. Say I'm Tom and I'm spending all my time doing this crack or doing these drugs, then I'm so distracted doing things that are completely unhealthy in all dimensions, mentally, emotionally, physically. That drug is not going to be good for me, right? But I'm giving so much of my energy to that drug and being under the influence of that drug. How do I even have the opportunity to begin to heal my relationship with Linda if I'm so busy being under the influence of this thing that's really even deadly, right? If we're giving our energy, and this is like, it sounds funny, right? But like, no, this is like the average life, is people have addictions, even something as simple as coffee or tobacco, alcohol, whatever. We have these addictions, and so we're a slave to them. You see, that's why they're wearing these chains. And that's why they have these horns. They become like, it's like they're giving their energy. The devil represents, let's say, drugs, right? They're giving their energy to the drugs and they become the drugs. So they think that they're enjoying this influence or this force, but the force becomes the master of them. And that's why they have horns. And like in the Egyptian tarot, they have hooves, like the devil has hooves on that card. So it's like the force that we think we have mastery over and makes us feel so good actually enslaves us. And so that's the point of this being the challenge this week. It's like, whatever our addictions are, our bad habits in the mind, in the way we express or feel our emotions, or the way that we behave, all of our negative habits are the master of us right now. In any moment, we are a slave to those forces which we allow to enslave us. And most of them are negative. They're poor habits that are certainly not promoting longevity, prosperity, immortality. They're forces that keep us bound by time and space and cause suffering and disease and decay and early death. And so we become a slave to those forces of negativity. And then we have no foundation to be able to heal the relationship we have with ourselves or the relationship we have with another. So this week, this card is in the same place too. We asked last week for the new moon what needs to be left behind. And again, we're receiving the same message. Stop trying to heal outside of yourself. Stop trying to cut corners. Stop trying to heal this relationship or that situation. First, be honest with yourself. We have to let that go. We can't begin to heal our own hearts or heal the heart of our relationship with another until we are honest about what forces we are slaves to, about what habits we are slaves to. Once we work through this challenge and we set ourselves free, so to speak, and we move to the tower, right? Let that tower fall. Let that bad habit go. Begin to make a change. Pull the rug out from under ourselves. Then we will start to free up energy to be able to heal ourselves and heal our relationships, not the other way around. We can't heal until we reveal those things that have been keeping us trapped. It's like this. It's like you have a ball and chain on your foot and you're trying to get over there to your beloved, but you can't begin to take the steps toward them because you are chained to the ground, and the ground being the thing that's pulling you down, the negative habit. You're chained to that. You can't even take the steps toward that life you want to live or that love you want to receive and give until you set yourself free with the truth. Being honest about what your negative thought patterns are, what negative words you've been speaking, because they are spells, what negative actions you've been taking. And again, the longer you stay in this space of the devil, the longer you give in to habits that are negative, bad for your health, mentally, emotionally, physically, the quicker you age, the more suffering you experience, right? So you're literally bound to time and space in such a way that it creates the suffering and creates early death. Whereas on the opposite end of things, if you set yourself free from those habits and you begin to live in truth, embodying universal truth, you embody a frequency of timelessness. Because the light of universal truth is eternal. Truth is one and truth lives on forever. And when you become an embodiment and an expression of that light consistently, your cells begin to shift. You literally achieve self-conscious immortality, which is the goal of every occult society and every ancient culture. It's the goal of the spiritual path. It's the goal of the path of psychological expansion as well. Psychological and spiritual expansion are one. And so it's in the mind. When we can embody within our minds and within our being truth, and not lies and bad habits, but truth, we shift our frequency and we create this light of immortality. We cultivate the light of immortality rather within ourselves. And we reverse the aging process. You start to feel amazing. You start to literally glow. That's why in these old paintings you'll see halos or auras around people, because these individuals knew this occult key. So you could either be stuck at this part of the story and promote more suffering, more decay, and early death, pain, despair, or you can begin to see where those chains are that you've set in place and set yourself free. You know, the little people falling out of the windows on the tower card, it's like, whoa, they're falling out of a tower. No, but they're free falling in a metaphorical way. They're being liberated. It's amazing. It's great. Again, you could either focus on the tower falling, or you could focus on the truth that that tower was inevitably going to fall anyway, and now you can build a new one that has its foundation in truth, which is everlasting. Now that's the foundation you want to build. That's the kind of tower you want to give your energy to building, mentally, emotionally, and physically. That's the kind of tower that you want to give your energy to. So again, you can either stay stuck at this part of the story, or you can set yourself free to begin to cultivate the light of truth within yourself, which reverses the aging process, promotes joy, prosperity, health, healthy relationships. So this will be a byproduct of healing this. You don't need to do this. In fact, you're going to get nowhere. You're going to chase your own tail if you try to do this. Try to heal your relationship with yourself, or try to heal your relationship with other people before you can even be honest with yourself and your shitty habits. First, be honest. First, get yourself on your own team. Gather the different parts of yourself to all be on the same page. Don't be in this conflict where you have a belief inside, but then you're working at a job that disrespects or dishonors that belief or contradicts that belief. Don't have this belief inside and then be in a relationship with someone who shits all over that belief. Well, that's your choice to then be with that person who's in direct contradiction to your inner truth. It's time to be honest first about what we're choosing to engage in our lives, and to either redefine that engagement and create a new purpose within it, or pull away from it and take your power back. Then when you come to this level of honesty and this level of unity of your parts and this level of harmony with your programs, so that your inner world reflects your outer world, okay? So when you come to this point of letting go of your habits, your bad habits, finally being honest with yourself, creating a life that reflects the truth that's within you, that is also universal, the truth that's also my truth, the one truth, okay? When you create a life that honors that truth and is a reflection of that truth, then your relationship with yourself heals. The relationship of the polarities, that polarities that exist within you begins to heal. So the relationship of the mother and father within you, which then heals your high priestess archetype, right? Because we all have a high priestess archetype inside of us, every man and woman, child. It's the one that oversees that balance of the two inside, the mother, father, masculine and feminine. And the high priestess is also your intuition. So let's look at that. When you be honest with yourself and you create your life in such a way that it reflects your inner truth, right? You begin to leave those relationships or leave those jobs, and forgiving yourself while you do that. Okay, so you say, I can't have this relationship anymore. You start to take those steps to pull yourself out of this. I can't do this relationship anymore. I'm sorry, Linda. I'm sorry, Tom. I can't be with you any longer because it's not in my truth. It's not a reflection of my truth. Or you know what? I got to quit this job. I got to get a new job. Or I got to change my position within the job or the way that I relate to others within my job because it's not my truth. When you start to do that work, you start to become in alignment with your reality. Your inner truth reflects into your reality. So do whatever you need to do. Say your apologies, cut the ties, cut the cords, start the process, do the work, and watch how you begin to feel so good because of that harmony that you are taking responsibility to create within yourself and outside of yourself. You become that bridge, as within, so without, right? And then from there, again, your polarities inside of you heal. Your masculine is not in conflict with your feminine. They start to become in alliance. Your high priestess archetype is activated, which is the one who oversees their relationship within you. She's also your intuition. So as a result of this work, you literally deepen your ability to connect to your intuition. You heighten your psychic senses through letting go of those shitty habits. Do you know how profound that is? It's like we're over here, we want to cling to this alcohol or this drug or this crappy relationship because it makes me feel good. Yeah, but for how long? It's only temporary. Be honest with yourself. That tower's going to fall. And you know what's right on the other side? When you knock that tower down yourself, when you let go of that shitty habit yourself, you know what's right there on the other side? Your deepest desires fulfillment. Your ability to deepen your connection to your intuition, the activation of your psychic senses, the activation of your joy, your health, your prosperity, of healthy relationships, healthy relating in your life, all the things you want so much more than a temporary high. All the things that are going to bring you a joy that is everlasting, that is going to have everlasting effects even on future generations. The joy that's going to be emitted out of you and into the world and create something awesome for the world. That's what's on the other side. So do you want to continue to just have this instant gratification that you get from that cigarette or from that glass of, wine or from that crack or from that whatever it is, that thing that you know is not good for you, even if it's just a thought? Do you want to continue thinking that now because it brings you that temporary pleasure, or do you want to start thinking thoughts, feeling feelings, taking actions that are going to promote sustainable, positive results? Because that's what's right there on the other side. So when you think you need to cling to your negative habit or you need to stay trapped because it makes you feel good, ask yourself, for how long can I keep up this charade? Be honest. And what is time then in the end? So you might be able to keep it up for a week, for a month, for a year, maybe even till the end of this lifetime. But life goes beyond this body and goes beyond this lifetime. So are you going to come back again to this life experience in another body and do the same thing? Or are you going to set yourself free now and begin to utilize your senses and your soul and your being for a higher purpose? For something that's going to create light, which lasts forever. Because right now you're creating temporary pleasure that's nothing. And it takes so much effort just to get that little bit of pleasure, when instead you can let go of the negative habit and begin to cultivate qualities within yourself that promote health and prosperity, not just for you, but for the collective and for those to come, for your descendants. And who is the ally of the week? Final card, the Hebrew card. And I want to show you guys, if I have it here. Oh man, I guess I don't. I thought I might have had a picture for this. Anyway, so I'll show you again. I don't have a picture of the hieroglyphic symbol. I wanted to have them available to show you this time. But anyways, I'll just tell you guys, every single card is associated with, every single, Hebrew letter is associated with a particular hieroglyphic symbol. I don't have one here. This is my little treasure chest where I keep the cards, by the way. And the Zayin, which is this letter, is associated with a sword or a sharp object. Zayin, Z-A-Y-I-N. And it's about victory. It's about conquering. But what are we here to conquer but the lower aspects of ourselves? The sword is also, by the way, in occult symbolism, a symbol of truth. It's our truth. It's our tool that we use. We don't have to actually use a real sword. We don't have to actually use violence. We can use our truth, and our truth will defend us and protect us, and it will show the way. The Zayin is also associated with card number 7 in the tarot, which is the Chariot, aka the Conqueror. And again, what are we here to conquer but the lower aspects of ourselves? And if you look to the card before the Chariot, it's 6, the Lovers, aka the two paths. It's about challenge and a choice point. Without the challenge, there would be no Chariot. Without the 6, there would be no 7. So use the challenge to rise above. Use the challenge as an opportunity to grow, to expand psychologically and spiritually. You have the conqueror within you. You have the sword within you. It's your truth. Your truth is what conquers all that needs to be conquered. And this is so perfect for these cards right here because it's saying you can conquer those lower aspects of yourself. You can conquer that lower nature. You can rise above those challenges. Of course you can. You have everything you need within yourself, but if you don't get in touch with not just your truth, but the truth, meaning the universal laws or the natural laws, which are an embodiment on this physical plane of universal laws, okay? You want to get in touch with that truth, the truth that is timeless, immortal, never changing. And when you can get in touch with that truth, only then can you begin to be honest with yourself and your habits in your life. Because when you have a firm understanding of the laws of nature and the laws of the universe, then you can honestly analyze your thought processes, your belief programs, and you can say, this belief or this thought is not in alignment with this absolute truth. So maybe I can begin to shift the way I think, or I can shift a certain belief program that I have to begin to reflect the ultimate truth, universal law, timeless truth. So that I then embody those thoughts and I embody those beliefs and I actualize the light of the law. I can be, there's rainbows right now on me, all over me. I can begin to, which is the light of the laws, by the way, is a freaking rainbow. That's a whole other esoteric conversation we can have. But so when you begin to align your thoughts, your words, and your actions with universal truth, you embody a light that is timeless. And again, like we said a moment ago, you reverse the aging process. When you embody universal truth, you shift your cells to open up to that light, which helps you to transcend any and all challenges. Truth is your sword. This is the ally of the week for a reason. Really let that sink in. You cannot begin to heal the and put an end to thinking, speaking, and behaving. But how can you determine with absolute integrity, authenticity, and honesty and clarity, which thoughts, words, and behaviors really aren't good for you or for us as one. Only when you understand ultimate truth, universal law, can you begin to, with absolute clarity and confidence, shift your thoughts, shift your words, and shift your actions to be in integrity with nature and the universe. We can't make up our own system of truth. There's already a perfect system of truth back of all things and within your heart and within your mind, within all of nature, within the stars. There's already a system of truth. Look deeper, look closely. You will see it is written. It has been written from the beginning of time and before. And it continues on for eternity. There's a truth back of all things. When you start to understand that truth, it becomes your sword. It becomes the only tool that you'll ever need to make it through anything and to continue growing and progressing on your spiritual and psychological path. But you have to penetrate all the way through to that absolute truth that is universal. Any other truth, anything else we try to call truth, is only going to be a representation of that, and possibly in a distorted way, which can create confusion. You want to get all the way through to universal truth, to basic truth. A good way to start to begin to understand those laws is studying the laws of hermetics, studying the laws of energy, because that's what everything is energy. Everything is vibration. So when you understand that as a science, when you understand how it applies to the mind, the science of mind, then you can start to be honest about the effect and consequences that your thoughts have had, the consequences that your words have had, the consequences that your actions have had, and you can stop making excuses for them. And you could take accountability, rise up in responsibility, and start taking action to shift your thoughts, your words, and your behaviors to be in alignment with truth, so that your inner starts to reflect your outer and your whole life begins to change. Okay, so you're not going to be able to heal all the way through your relationship you have with yourself or with another until you can be honest about what habits in your life are unhealthy in thought, speech, and action. And the only way you can approach that process of starting to make a change in those areas, mentally, emotionally, physically, is if you understand truth as your guide, truth as your sword. What is truth? Get in touch with the truth. Know that that is your weapon or your tool that's going to help you, like the Zion, like the sword, cut the ties to all your negative habits so that you can begin to look in the mirror and see a reflection of positivity, of integrity, of authenticity in your highest light, in your most beautiful image. And your most beautiful image is that love, is that light, is that truth. They're all one. So what do you have to do this week to start clearing up that reflection, to start cleaning that mirror? What habits do you need to let go of in thought, speech, and action to begin seeing a clear reflection of who you truly are? Time to roll up our sleeves. And the new moon activation really prefaced this so perfectly. If you missed out on it, you can check it out on Royal Path Tarot on Facebook or Rebecca Magic on YouTube or Instagram. Check out that new moon activation and you'll see how it led to this week. Literally one of these three cards is the same from last week, in the same position as well. We got to stop looking outside of ourselves. We got to stop just trying to heal any one aspect of our lives and come back to center and be honest with ourselves. Start looking at the ways in which we've been thinking, speaking, or behaving that are not in alignment with not just our truth, but the absolute truth, which is the fabric of who we are and the fabric of reality. Back of all things. Time to take that sword. Time to weld it even. Time to form it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I have an image in my mind right now of the sword and the stone. We have to like locate this where the sword is in the stone, you know, which is like in the center of the heart, right? You got to see like you have a sword stuck in the stone that is your heart. And then I see that stone becoming crystalline and releasing the sword. I have this like whole image in my mind right now. I'm going to share it with you guys because I'm a very visual person. I'm a very imaginative person. And I believe, like Albert Einstein said, that imagination is more powerful than knowledge. So it's very important to activate your visionary aspect or your imaginative aspect. And we all have it within us. We all have that ability. So I'm going to share with you. I see it like there's a sword in the stone of my heart. And I have to soften my heart and I have to get in touch with my heart and give it my awareness, give it light, allow light to enter so that it becomes crystalline. And there are lots of stories like this in occult literature or ancient scripture, like the Torah will talk about the transformation of the heart from stone to crystal, things like this. So the sword is in the stone. I get in touch with my heart. I let the light in, that rainbow light of the virtues, which then becomes the white light of the all virtuous light of compassion, which contains all the virtues, right? The stone becomes crystalline, which the sword is also made of, right? I see that crystal as truth. And if the sword is made of truth and I turn the stone into that same material, then the sword becomes one with that and I can more easily access it, right? I'm just playing with some vision so you can join me if you want. And so I see that sword of truth within my heart. And as I get in touch with my heart and let the light in, it releases the sword for me to use in my life's experience to cut through or cut down all of that which does not serve that same truth or that same light. May you remember what your sword really is, what that truth really is, so that you can start to direct your thoughts, your words, and your actions in a way that's going to strengthen that sword, strengthen your built-in system of protection and defense, so that you can begin to actualize that light into your life to heal all of your relationships with yourself, with each other, with one another, with the mother, the earth. It's time to get in touch with that absolute truth. Not just so that we can cut away our bad habits. Because what then, right? Once you cut away your bad habits, like what's then? We want to really project ourselves into the future so that we can move past this stage with grace and with motivation and inspiration. So what happens once you cut away those bad habits, right? You reach the next level of your being. You start to live a life that is actually positive, that creates more love and light in this world. You start to live your purpose. And just like the video I made yesterday about accessing immortality through relationship, that ultimately is what happens. You begin to cultivate a light within yourself, which then extends outside of yourself through your senses into the world. That is the light of immortality. So again, you could either stay stuck here in a time-space prison and continue to suffer and age early, or you can do the work to get in touch with the truth, to set yourself free from those negative ways of thinking, speaking, behaving, to move on to a better stage of your life where you heal the relationship to yourself and all of creation, so that you can rise to a level of being self-consciously immortal. You can rise to a level of healing and grace and prosperity, joy, happy relationships, and timelessness. So the choice is yours. Get in touch with the truth and start to live by it. Allow it to guide you, to cut those cords of those things that are not in alignment with it, so that you're on your way to reversing the aging process. Or don't get in touch with that truth. Continue to deny it and allow your life to be led by that denial of your truth and your will, and continue to create that prison for yourself. Self-imprisonment. There's only the self here. If you're feeling imprisoned, you're doing it. You're creating that. So then you can choose that. You can choose to stay stuck there and allow your life to be led by thoughts, words, and actions that are an expression of that denial, and walk that road of suffering. I'm going to choose to strengthen my sword of truth, to blast through these habits of thinking, of speaking, of acting that are not pushing me in a direction of expanding that light of immortality. Because I want to get there. I want to get there. I love that this rainbow is just here right now. It's a perfect time of day, blasting through. It's just reminding us that we are that light, and we can continue to deny it, and we can continue to create our own prisons and suffer and suffer and suffer and be stuck at this part of the story as long as we want. Or we can remember that the tarot, when we pull cards in the tarot, this is the ancient way of the tarot. When we pull a card, it's meant to show us an access point into the story so that we can then consider the next card and the next card and the next card and get things moving again so that we don't become stuck. The tarot is a wheel. Reconfigure the letters, T-A-R-O, and you get rota, rotate. That's only one little secret. There's so many secrets within the word tarot itself. If you want to know more, private message me. But that's what it is. It's a wheel, okay? So we can see that, oh, this is where I'm at in the story, but the wheel is always turning, so I might as well put my hands on the wheel and start directing my fate myself. Let me turn the wheel now to the next card in the story, okay? And so this rainbow right now is just reminding us that we are that light, and it's our choice to keep ourselves stuck in this place of suffering through the words, the thoughts, and the actions we are taking, we are forming. Or we can say, you know what, I am this light, and I'm ready to create the conditions in thought, speech, and action that are going to set that light free, unleash it, unchain it into the world. I think of the song Unchained Melody. Not that I'm thinking of the song itself, but I'm thinking of that title. The universe is a song, and you have your unique song within you that contributes to the beautiful melody as a reflection of the harmony of our vibrations. So you can be an unchained melody. Set yourself free so that your song can be liberated and create beauty in the world. You are this rainbow light. Do you want to keep living in this delusion, denying truth, allowing your thoughts, your words, and your actions to be a direct expression of the denial of the only thing that's real, which is truth, the only thing that's everlasting, which is light, which is love? Or do you want to start to just be honest with yourself and quit this damn charade and move on to the tower, let it fall, stop, so that you can then move to the star, 15, 16, 17, the star, the light within, the only thing that was ever real, the only thing that's eternal, the only thing that is worth focusing on and giving energy to. Set your rainbow free. Through first remembering that it is what you are. You are that light. And the denial of that light and its expression, the denial of the process of actualizing that light, is what keeps us stuck in our story. We came here to remember that we are that light and to actualize that light through our senses, to dedicate our lives, our thoughts, our speech, our actions to the mission of unchaining that melody, to the mission of creating something of that light through our senses, the mission of being the bridge for that light to come through and into expression in this world. That's why we're here. Remember. Thank you guys for sitting with me for this awesome activation. I'm so grateful to be here with you. I look forward to it every week. I did share tomorrow's Torah story a couple years back, and I don't think I'm going to be making a new video this year. So if you want to know about this week's Torah story, it's called Vayetze. And from a mystical perspective, I created a video explaining the meaning. And it is in my private group, Shabbat Crew, and you can find it on the Royal Path Tarot page here on Facebook. You could search Facebook for Shabbat Crew, and you'll see that I shared the video there. It's also on YouTube, youtube.com/Rebecca Magic. Every week I give the Kabbalistic or mystical interpretation of the Torah story as it applies to anyone. Doesn't matter if you're a man, woman, child, from this religion or that culture. It's an archetypal message, just like the tarot, Torah. And it's relatable for all beings. So if you want to get into that, please join our private group, Shabbat Crew. I also go live for the lighting of the Shabbat candles every week, and we sing the ancient melody of the candle lighting prayer. So if you want to learn it, or if you want to receive it or enjoy it with us, it's really nice to have people tuning in from different parts of the world for that special ritual. So thank you for joining in any part of this journey with me. I'm so grateful. And if I don't see you for the Shabbat rituals this weekend, I will see you next week for the full moon activation, when all of this that we just spoke about comes to the light so that we can see the progress we've made so far. So I'll be next week. I love you guys, and I'll see you soon. Shalom. Thanks again.